Okay, so welcome to another exploration into consciousness with the Earth Nouveau Hub. And today we have a topic called intimacy. And before we're going to start exploring it into more details, we're going to kick it off with a little meditation. And I want to give credit to somebody called J108 Academy. Has anyone heard of this guy? Absolutely amazing sacred geometry guy. Brilliant mind. And I looked up the sacred geometry human because I want to look into intimacy from that perspective, from a really big perspective. And the other thing I looked up was that, interestingly enough, the word intimate comes from the Latin word intimare, and that actually means to make known. Now, to make known with regards to intimacy is a very different angle to look at, because the question here would come up, what have we not made known yet that if we would make it known would allow us to have intimacy with the source and with everything that comes through source, with everything that gets created through source. Okay, so enjoy just a little meditation here. So you can close your eyes if you want, or turn your videos off, and I'm just going to read it. So it's the toroidal intimacy meditation visualization. And again, thank you to the Sacred Geometry Human by J108 Academy for anyone to look up if you want to learn more about sacred geometry. So take a moment to consciously ground. I'll just use a couple of long, deep breaths here. Through your nose, keep your mouth closed, to inspire and to acknowledge the purpose of your existence. So every inhalation serves to breathe in spirit. With every exhalation, you expel and release it. Through the magic of breathing, you and your body receive, alchemize, and transmit energy in contribution to the self, this group, and consciousness at large. Allow yourself to settle into a simple rhythm and connect to the you, to the body that you've chosen for this lifetime as your intimate home, your abode. Drop all the barriers, projections. Let go of any pain, tension, feelings, and for isolation. Now keep breathing and start visualizing spirals of energy that connect you to your fellow human, to the plants, to the rivers, the trees, the crystals, the minerals, the animals, the stones, to the huge toroidal field that stretches all the way from the inner earth into the cosmos. Think of a donut-shaped geometry full of light, sound, and color, within and outside your physical, mental, and emotional body. Think of your veins and arteries as river patterns. Think of your pineal gland as a liquid crystal pine cone. Think of each of your blood cells as a flattened toroidal field containing your DNA. Think of your eyes with their crystal rods and cones as cosmic windows. Think of your heart as a generator of electromagnetic energy. Think of every cell, tissue, organ, limb as an expression of divine and sacred geometry, fractalized and yet similar at all scales with anything else in existence. Think of your etheric guides, guardians. Think of your elemental and astral support system. Think of being made in the image of the divine, intimately connected to all that is, was, and ever will be. Now imagine stretching your arms to the side and stand inside a Krispy Kreme donut of your choice. Your own toroidal field that stretches all around you, within and beyond you. Now start breathing energy up from the earth, along your central column, and breathe it down to the sides of the body. Just trust your natural breathing. You can't do this too fast or too slow or right or wrong. With every breath you take, you consciously activate that toroidal field. You, simply being you, breathing, energizes and dynamically moves energy. You are a conductor and a transmitter of energy. See yourself flowing energy, receiving energy, perceiving energy, and distributing energy to all microscopic kingdoms on this planet that are working with you and for you within the toroidal field of the planet. Get a sense of at-one-ment. Perceive the intimacy of fractal living, being part of a grand pulsing radiant field, the source of infinite possibilities. Are you ever really alone? Now start flowing energy from the cosmos down the spinal column. Start to breathe into the magnetic toroidal field around your heart, your every blood cell, and connect to the wide web of intelligent life force. Now, how does your toroidal field change when you do that? Taking in spirit and pushing out spirit through the breath, in and out. Inhaling cosmic energy through the central column and exhaling it up the sides of the body. Acknowledge the flexibility of your breath in both directions, up from below and down from above, along the spine, out to the sides, all around you. Allowing the toroidal field to link your body, your chakras, your cells, your atoms, to the people in this group, to humanity at large, as well as other species, with and without bodies, in all dimensions in this galaxy, universe, and then anchor this energy into the earth. Consider yourself a dynamic and radiant vitality, continuously turning yourself inside out. Showing yourself in all your colors, including any vulnerabilities and pains. And outside in, fully receiving your environment, without rejection, without separation, without judgment, with total ease and grace. Saturate your body with all colors of the rainbow and feel the spiraling quality of your torus healing and grounding your I am, your body and soul. into the eternal present now. Now start pulling energy, more universal energy into your toroidal field. Bring in all the quantum particles that resonate with source intimately. Then allow those droplets of intimacy to trickle out, infused with the radiance and the phenomenons that you truly be. Keep that flow going, breathing in the quantum particles, and then allow the trickles to go out. To resonate that intimacy, radiate it out and receive it at the same time. Good. And just bring your attention, your intention, your attention back onto your physicality, sitting in your room, being on that Zoom. And come back into this reality we're finding ourselves in. Intimacy done differently. How was that for you guys? What did it bring up?
That was good. I got some Boston cream in my nose. From this. I laughed. Oh, really connects the truth to want to be shown and allowed to be shown.
With the idea of the toroidal field, we are understanding and expanding the levels of our intimacy, the levels of our connectedness that is continuously, incessantly available to us. And in the last couple of sessions, we started looking at the mental faculty, the understanding of the soul's journey. And when I looked up the word intimacy, and it's defined as made known, make known, make what known? Make what known? What does intimacy mean to you guys? Let's start with that question. What does it mean to you?
Well, I always say, into me I see. I break it down to that. And when you were going inside out, I'm like, whoa, that was cool. That's intimate. I just turned myself inside out. It's almost like when I sew something, how I have to put the right sides together and then you flip it out. And it's like, wow. So I did that. I just kept kind of just turning myself inside out. That was the coolest feeling. So into me, I see. Both ways, inside, outside. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that was great. I like the donut thing too. Mine was cherry filled. I love cherry. Yeah.
I think for me, I've been working with the energy of the Taurus for a long time and becoming more intimate energetically with Mother Earth, right? And really feeling the oneness. And one of my daily practices is to align with the heart of Earth and align my toroidal field with Earth's toroidal field, and align my heart with the heart of the sun, and align my toroidal field with the sun's toroidal field. right? And then the galactic center and the universal center. And just feeling that ability that we have in our human skin suits to create and connect on this deeper level of all that is, and really bringing us back to that sense of oneness, right? And like you were talking about earlier, right, connecting with the energy of the group that's here, right? I mean, I'm sure our group has a toroidal field as well that we can ebb and flow through, right? And being able to just be present with that and listen to the information that comes through from that connection, right? Because as we get to know ourselves better, we get to know Earth better and the sun, and it can reflect, deeper into ourselves, right? And as we get to know our connection better, I think we get to know ourselves better also. What works for us, what doesn't work for us, what's coming next, what we have to release, and what we're opening up to, right, in this new energetic space. And I've been doing a lot of that for myself lately. And of course, the crystal card I drew today is the Herkimer diamond, right, which is oneness. So I have some Herkimers, some nice little Herkimer diamonds here to share. They wanted to come on and say hi today. But this energy of, of the oneness, right? The Herkimers really hold space for that. So that's, of course, there's no coincidences in this world. We're all led to those, enlightened, aware moments, right? That can say, hey, look, this is what we're working with today. So that feels really good. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Tanya.
And right. Well, I'll wait if anyone else has something to say about that. Lana, Mary?
Well, I wanted to share something that when I was thinking about the topic of intimacy in a different way, so I couldn't come up with anything. So I went for a quick walk this morning, 10 minutes back and forth. The first thing that I knew that if I go out for a quick walk, something will come to me, and it did. So it's interesting that you say the meaning of the origin of the word is to make known. And so the first thing that struck me when I went out for the walk was that it was a little foggy out. And so it came to me that I'm being intimate with the fog right now. And then I stayed on that train of thought. And then the next thing that I heard was the train in the distance was going by and was honking. And I said, oh, I'm intimate with the sound of this train. And then I felt a little breeze on my face. And I'm like, oh, I'm intimate with the breeze that's blowing. Then I heard the birds chirping. Oh, I'm intimate with the sound of hearing the birds chirp. And then as I was continue walking, I turned around and I'm walking back, and then the song came to me. I like dreaming because dreaming can make you mine. The song by Kenny and Nolan. And I'm thinking to myself, well, that's it. I can daydream, and daydreaming is intimacy. You don't have to go to sleep to dream, right? You can daydream, and that's intimate to me. So all those things started to flow, and then I got back home, of course, and then that came into the room here. And that was the end of that. But those were the things that came to me, how you can be intimate with all the things around you without even realizing it, because it is so natural, and that's the way it should be. It's a natural way of being and living. It's not stressful. It's not straining you. It's not painful. It's just a natural feeling you get. And if you're tuned in to recognizing them, you will feel that intimacy with everything. and the oneness of all of it. And so that's what I wanted to share. Thanks, Sean. You can talk now.
Beautiful. Thank you, Lana. And, this is the meaning of it, the make it known, acknowledge it. And I think, so many things in our life are available to us, we have already created, but we haven't acknowledged them yet. And as soon as we do, the intimacy is made known. I wouldn't say
Yes.
established because
Yes.
it's there already, but you just brought it into the present moment by focusing on it.
Yes.
Yeah, that was really lovely, Lana, and it was very much in line with what I was feeling and thinking when you said that, Martina, at the very start, and thanks for that beautiful meditation. But that line just stood out, really. What that intimacy was, to make something known. And I suppose, I feel really in a way that I'm always walking in the land of intimacy, or in the field of intimacy. It's everywhere around me and within me. But am I always able to just connect with intimacy at every particular moment? And I thought about that, and I thought, oh, well, when I'm distracted with daily living, I probably don't really connect with intimacy that much then, because I'm distracted. And I thought, no, actually, because intimacy is there too. It's always there. And it's that feeling of loss, I think, if there's a lack of connection. And I think that's what we experience, or what I would anyway experience in living, is that maybe lack of connection with that intimacy sometimes, which actually does feel like a loss. It feels like a longing, and it feels like something that I'm looking for. And I'll keep looking until I find that place. And that place is in myself, that intimate place of making known to me something that is in me at that particular moment. And I suppose there's no greater joy really than finding that when you can express that with somebody else. It's like two hearts will sing, two souls will recognize something together. And I think it's one of the great joys of life, actually, that we have and that we can share. And as Lana was saying, and I totally get this and would experience it too, that feeling of intimacy, as I would walk through the woods and the forest, and connection with the trees, connection with the birds. I don't even just listen, it's just the connection. And sometimes I need to be on my own to do that. But I have a friend who's equally as connected to nature as I am, and we love to do that together. And it's gorgeous, and we take pictures then and of the birds and of the different things in nature that we've connected with. But it's a different energy to share it with her to me doing it on my own. And it's just a fabulous energy that we are steeped in, to be honest, and it's always there and it's always around us. That's really all I want to say about it.
Mary, your walks remind me of a conversation I had with a friend of mine like 3 years ago, who's a musician, and or maybe it was a bit more than 3 years ago. And I was a big Grateful Dead fan at the time. And he didn't know anything about them. So I was like, oh, the Grateful Dead, they're just so awesome. They have 2 drummers. And he looks at me and he's like, Bibby, it's not about how much drumming there is. It's about what notes they're not playing. And I'm like, yeah, man, now just imagine 2 of them not playing the same notes at the same time. And just being able to go out with your friend and have that walk and just be completely in sync with each other and be very intimate with each other during that walk. Have such a fun time.
Yeah, it is. It's lovely to share that space with somebody. And then it's also lovely to share that space with myself, that I can go out and just connect as well. But there is a connectedness in intimacy somehow, in the making known, you know. And there's something about when you can connect with it on the external, it makes something known to you internally. And it brings you into that inner space of peace and connectedness and oneness and unity.
Right? Because if we can't even connect to it ourselves or create it ourselves, then how are we going to share it to begin with?
Yes, and we won't recognize it. You know, I suppose in connecting with it ourselves, we will then recognize that connection and how we're able to do it with the other living things around us, because everything is living around us. The trees are alive, you know, everything is living. So it's connecting with all of that.
Yeah, Mary, I have to say, I don't know, the sunset last night, the sun was huge. Huge. I had to look at it. I'm looking at the sun. I'm like looking directly at it. And that's that connection too of intimacy. I'm just realizing it now, because it just gave me chills on how huge it was. Did you guys? Yeah, I don't know. That was amazing. So the connection of that is intimacy too. And it just gave me a feeling, that feeling of just, liquid dripping over me. It was so beautiful. But I wanted to share too, because intimacy, I don't know, this week, when I was thinking of intimacy, I'm like, my eyeballs wanted me to massage them. I don't know if you guys ever had massage your eyeballs. But it is amazing. It is amazing. Very, I know it sounds silly, but it was like an amazing feeling that went through my whole body. That it was very delicate and very intimate.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Whoever thinks of massaging their eyeballs.
Yes, Amy, there's an exercise that if you lift you massage ice ball up, it releases the whole body instantly. There's a method from Silva method that they teach one of those exercises. That's one of the main ones to relax the whole body. And sometimes when I feel tighter, I massage on the top of my eyeballs, and then I feel it right away. Yeah,
it's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Hermione. I didn't know there was such an exercise, but they were begging me to just massage them.
Yeah.
Yes. One of the think of in this meditation was think of your eyes with their crystal rods and cones as cosmic windows. So let's just expand that. See yourself as a surrogate. Your eyes, you massaging your eyes. What were you actually doing?
I was looking cosmic. It went cosmic.
Connecting, through touching your eyes.
Yeah. I could really dig in there. Like you could really get in there if you want. Very gentle. And even underneath it was like, yeah.
Because they're crystals, with the sacred geometry. We are the fractals of the divine, of the whole source. And this is why, I want to actually ask a question, because I've heard the word connection about 10 times now. So what I want to do is let's look at that energetically, because there's a huge emphasis with intimacy and relationships, right? Intimacy is all about connection, relationship, relating, not being isolated. I want to take out connection from the intimacy. What does that bring up? If I say I want you to take out, destroy and uncreate all the connection points that you have when you think of intimacy, what does that bring up?
That we just are, that I just am there. There needs to be no connection.
That's what I got too. It's like you are in the flow of the allness of the all, of the great spirit.
Yes, because if we think about connection, it because I feel that I'm disconnected.
Exactly.
Then if I feel connected, then I'm not part of the whole.
Yeah.
Well, this is the thing with relationship. When we relate, there's always two people, right? And there's a distance between us usually. So there's always a separation. And that, that separation is either getting bigger through rejection or through judgment or something, or, get smaller if we are in alignment. But at oneness, true intimacy has no connection points because it just is.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Now,
Yeah.
take that space in. And just perceive how all these old discussions and disputes about what it is like to be intimacy, what it is like to be intimate, and how do we relate and everything, just take it all away. And then just go straight to the source and become the source and create from the source, not from the connections. Just that space. It's almost like, this is, you're touching it, but is that really your beingness? Touch you, but you never really touch the entirety of you because it expands out in the room and in the village and in the city and in the, you are so big.
I'm going to take those.
You're infinite. And then would an infinite being need to have intimacy? Would it even go down this road? I need intimacy. No, because
And you're
are.
already there. You're already
Mhm.
there. You don't have to go anywhere because you're already there.
Well, we
Because you're
can
one.
if we want.
One. That was it.
Can you ever lose it?
You can forget it.
And then
Feel
what you do,
separated from
you
it.
make it known again.
Make it known.
Intimacy,
Mhm.
that's all it is. Make it known. Make your connection known to yourself.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And how do you make it known? Let's
Call
figure that out.
it in.
How do we make it known?
Acknowledge it.
Mm.
Like you did on your
Yeah.
be in the present
Yeah.
moment.
Acknowledge it. Remember.
Feeling it.
Remember it.
It's more like feeling it.
Feeling it.
When you feel it, then you remember. It comes. The remembrance comes.
So Jenny's saying intimacy is allowing that connection, whether listening to what your body needs or making eye contact with can't read this, an animal, or acknowledging a tree that wants to be seen, taking a minute to look at the sky, calling your attention. Yeah, come into the present moment.
Okay, I got two parts. The truce. For the last 20 minutes, I've been seeing a praying mantis on your scarf, Martina. He's just been, he's just a big. No, he just shaped like one. So that was pretty cool. And then making the truth known, just another thing, and especially like making the source connection really personal and intimate and known. I was just learning about what's called the helical heart. And so if you take the heart, and this is really special, if you take the heart and unfold it, it's just like one long band of muscle. But that heart muscle grows in the toroidal field until it's pretty much following the toroidal field as it grows together. So our heart grows in the same shape as the energetics of spirit. And that heart muscle is like a physical shape of that. It's really amazing. So we grow into that spirit shape in our heart as one big muscle that just twists in on itself and has its two little ends. It's the helical heart.
It's funny because in this Shane 108, I didn't do the course with him, but he did an intro, and he was talking about when you take your hands and put them together, look, you've got a spiral here, right? Becomes a spiral. I sleep like that. I'm thinking, why am I sleeping like this? Always like this. And then you put it together. How do I show you? Hold on, let me see. Two spirals, but the other way. Yeah, you see, it becomes the heart.
And it's beautiful because like
Oh.
our heart literally grows in the shape of spirit. And the blood that comes out can come out in 2 different spirals at the same time, spiraling in 2 different directions. And there was one more thing. What was it? Oh, okay, I can't remember, but it says.
And then again, we must be careful not to go into separation and put too much emphasis on the heart, because those tori are everywhere in every single blood cell.
Mm.
Everywhere.
Oh yeah. Like so this is it. But exactly, not to get too out with it, but it's just beautiful that the heart is that muscle that grew in the shape of how the whole universe is growing. So it's kind of like an instinct connection within us towards that. And then, but also in our first fetus, it starts out as it starts out like a worm fetus, and then it grows into the shape of like a fish fetus, and then like an amphibian fetus, until it turns into the mammal human fetus. It's like in that growth process, as that great spirit is twisting and turning into one big muscle, it goes through all those stages of evolution in like 30 days.
Again, that being that fractal
Yeah,
selfness, on all scales.
we grow through evolution.
Is.
Yeah, like
So, you were saying the mantis, and I'm like, ooh! So, who or what are we not willing to be intimate with?
Mm. Mm.
And that all.
Mm.
So, who or what are we not willing intimate with? To be
because that's what I was thinking. It's like how how out of sync and how out of intimacy we became with our bodies. And just like to make known, like we should, like what I was just thinking and said, we should already know that. Like we should inherently know so much stuff about our bodies, but we haven't made it known.
We're not taught, we're not taught that. We're taught to give away our physical power, right, to the medical professionals, right? Just as in the past, we were taught to give away our spiritual power to the church clergy, the professional. So now, as we're taking back that sovereignty, there's going to be, I think, more and more teachings for kids to become more intimate with their physical being, right? And just to get back to the eyes for a second, Amy talking about massaging her eyes, I would notice, and I have for a long time now, that when I ate something that gave me inflammation in my body, that my eyes would get a little bit swollen, right? That even my eyeballs were getting inflammation. So, just like being aware of that, being aware of like what foods create that for me on a systemic level, right? Not just in the joints, not just in the, in the gut, but, even in the eyeballs, right? Because that that inflammation happens vascularly. So understanding, right, how things react in your body, also becoming more intimate, right, with that. I think we were talking about last week that almost like that lump in the solar plexus that both Jen and I were transmuting and moving through, right? And for me, it felt like I was just burning carbon out of my DNA engine, right? Burning carbon out of the toroidal field. And the thing that I was thinking about as you were talking about the blood cells being the torus is that the torus is always in motion. It's not a stagnant field. It's not just like, oh, here's your donut, but it's always continually in motion. And that makes me think of also the Reiki symbols, right? When I teach Reiki, it's not teaching that those symbols are stagnant, right? That they're always moving. They're always moving and creating an opening for that new reality and the new awareness. right? And so with that new awareness, what is the energy that we're drawing to us, right? And it's different for everyone.
Yeah, it's that movement up and down from the cosmos, from the earth, that up and down movement coming down again. And then, like Amy reminded us again, you know, in the meditations, that inside out movement. So you're bringing information in from the environment, and then you're releasing it back out again. So you're bringing it in. We are those conductors, those transmitters. You alchemize it, you know, through the breath. That just breathing is probably the most intimate thing you can ever do. Think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, how intimate are we by just breathing? We're bringing the energy in our body. It's a sort of copulation, if you want to think about it. It's not two body parts putting together, but it's bringing the energy into our bodies and then breathing it back out again.
That deep intimacy with the element of air, right? You should breathe it into your lungs. And
I have a question for Sean. There's 9 of us here. So Sean, how did you come about to just ask me the question if I had something to say?
It was just kind of like this base. There's only 9 people in this room, and we
Yeah.
just came out of that very passionate, intimate meditation. So everyone would have had a unique signature frequency to kind of share about it.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make sure everyone kind of put their piece into it all.
No, but you picked on me. And when I say pick, I don't mean in the way of picking on me, but you decided to call on me. I did have something to say.
Let's call it intuition then.
That's to me, that was intimacy there. That you just knew that I wanted to say something.
Well,
That's what I wanted
intuition,
to bring out.
I didn't
He
want to
called on
steer
me
on your
too.
tongue.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
called on me too, Sean. You needed to say something, but you wanted to check if Lana and I needed to say something before you said it. That's how I read what because you actually did call on me as well. But that's okay. I did have something to say too. So thank you.
What I'm trying to bring out is the intimacy there. He kind of
Yeah.
knew, you know, that intimate way of like, oh, okay, I think Lana's got something to say, Mary's got something to say, and then I'll
Yes.
say something.
It's plus, and like so many things happening at the same time. Plus, I wanted to hear it. Like, you know, I wanted, because everyone had such a unique point of view at the end of that meditation.
Yes.
It's very powerful.
And you know, when you were talking there about the body and you know, that we're not that in touch with the body, and we don't know sometimes if our body is ill, because sometimes it can be ill and we don't actually know. And it reminded me of my youngest child when he started school. And I think it is something that we have when we're very young, but somehow the system or the programming takes it away from us as we get older, or we give it away. But when he came home the first week, I remember saying to him one of the days, "So how was school today? How did you feel at school?" And he said, "Oh, it was okay, but I felt very nervous in my tummy." And I just thought, you know, that he actually named the place in the body where he felt the anxiety. And that's something that we have to work with people now to find where in the body do you feel that, you know. So he just had that so naturally. And I thought then that actually there's a lot of, in intimacy, it's about paying attention to, and ... whatever that is, we're paying attention to. Because he was very intimate with his body, because he paid attention to where the anxiety was located. And he did that without even having to think about it. It didn't involve thinking. So it is about that too, you know, just paying attention to whatever it is, to the environment, to ourselves, as we press the earth on our daily mission as we walk, and what we're bringing as we're just walking through the earth. And as Martina was saying, just breathing the air in and out. And that connection, and I know you don't want to hear the word, well, not that you don't want to hear it, Martine, but it's no, it's not that you don't want to hear it, but I can't help but see this. The connection between our exhaling the carbon monoxide and the connection with that and the trees that give out the oxygen, how that's linked. You know, they'd breathe in what we breathe out.
Mm.
So we need each other. We need the trees to breathe out the oxygen, and they need us.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, you know, one of the reasons why we have chosen intimacy is because it will become a much deeper exploration for all of us as we're becoming more psychic, as we're clearing more, because, you know, it's like we will be picking up, just like you said, you picked up this little boy's anxiety issues. You picked it up. There is very little we can actually still hide from each other as we go.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, I mean, I think I want to almost say now I'm looking at intimacy equally to awareness. I want to bring that onto the same sort of level, you know, because, you know, with those heightened levels of awareness, we have to be in allowance of much deeper levels of intimacy.
Yeah. Yes.
I want to say
Yeah, I want-
something about the eye that Amy you were talking about. I'm looking at the picture that Jen has on here with the lion, and the eyeball is staring right at me. But I want to say something about the eyeball. The eyeball looks so real, like there's like water. You can actually see the water in the eye. Jen, you did a really good job. The eye.
Love that. I wanted to also, wow, everybody. Okay, so these two words came to my mind, and I was just looking them up. So Mary was talking about, you were talking about breath, Martina, and Mary was talking about her son and knowing where it, you know, felt nervous. So the words involuntary and voluntary came to mind, where the involuntary, I looked up, it says done without will or conscious control. And then voluntary is act of one's free will.
Beautiful.
So involuntary are organs. Think about the organs inside that are working on, we're breathing on our own. We don't even consciously, it's just happening. Where voluntary, we can raise our arm and we can scratch our face when it's itchy. But I don't know, something about those two words, involuntary and voluntary, kind of.
It's stepping into a complete new level of free will. Stepping really, okay, so let's not say understanding free will, because I don't think we've ever understood free will.
Yeah.
We still don't. But you know, the challenge to choice. First of all, we need to even. I think most of us are still in this place, like, oh, I have a choice. Oh, when you go through all these challenges, you know, from challenge to choice. And once you're there and you understand choosing, and you just saying now, you're bringing up that next level of choosing. And with the intimacy, making the next level of choosing known.
Yeah. Okay,
So that speaks to awareness also, right? How are you aware, right? Our body will breathe whether we're aware of it or not, right? And when we bring that awareness to the breath, we can move to a different level, I think, with, you know, with our systemic energetics.
Yeah, so that's what made me think about the intimacy we need with those involuntary pieces of ourselves that we're not feeling, we're not aware of, we're not, but they're just keep on going. Like the intimacy with like the love of, like, why can't we just feel our pancreas or our liver, like go into and feel it? I don't think, well, for me, I don't think I do enough of that. That's why my eyeballs were probably, you know, say, give me a massage, you know? Like,
I'm absolutely loving this, Amy, because what you're touching here is, yes, the free will as well, but in addition to that, we're coming into organ perception. We're coming into using all the different levels beyond the 6 senses, perceiving with our liver, perceiving, as you say, with our eyes, perceiving with our tummy and stuff like that, making that known. And that's going to be a new teaching. Yeah, that's going to be new modalities. And now we're all going to breathe with our heart. And now we're all going to, like, what? Yeah.
Like, why can't we feel our blood go through our body? Why do we have to feel, just the pulse? Why can't we feel it going through our heart and going through without a reaction? Like when you're like gets scared or nervous, or do it without any of that. I don't know what to call it.
Let's look at that. Let's look at the intimacy issues in this reality. Can we just initially say, does this reality deal with a lot of intimacy issues?
Yeah.
A lot of truths that we don't know. So I say, a lot more to be aware
Or
of.
not deal with them.
Right. Put them.
La, 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 la.
Yeah.
Martina, I feel in myself, like now you're talking, that for me, when you mention about intimacy, it's like respect my body and my energy. Because, I have been programmed all my life that I have to supply a resolve situation to everybody and then forget about myself. I think that for intimacy, for me, came to realization that I had to respect my body and my energy, and then let others know, that they cannot abuse my energy. Something like that. It was kind of weird, the feeling. It was something like that I had to respect my energy, feel my vitality of energy of your life. Something very kind, weird to explain, but that was like my feeling. Like I was like giving away my energy or my life vital energy field. Something that was the feeling I have. That I had to teach others to respect me and not abuse my energy.
So is that voluntary or involuntary? Do we do that?
Depends how often we do it.
Yeah, in my case, sometimes coming automatic. Like sometimes respond to say yes without even think about it before. Then after I say, oh my God, I had to do something. Because just like automatic respond of please, please, please to everybody except myself. That's in my case, right? And I guess it's the program how I grow up.
Can I try to explain this with starting from the little boy? So like the 4-year-old boy goes to school, and now he has all these projections from others, these non-voluntary projections. Now he has the option to either burp them all up or swallow them and digest them, which will be a voluntary action. So the projections of others. And then looking at like the organs, like are they all voluntary or involuntary actions? Do we actually think about them and have our free will over them? Because it's the masterful yogi, ideally, who has complete control over every aspect of his body, taking something that's automatic, putting his conscious application into it, and having control over it. So taking it from non-voluntary to becoming voluntary. And this is ideally the connection between the precognitive workforces in our senses. Because if all these senses within our body, all these organs, all these smells and senses and how we mix them up, if we take them from a non-voluntary type of action to a voluntary action with our free will, we essentially take all those senses that we control inward and they'll have their equal representation outward. So they'll have masterful co-creations in the outworld, because like I just learned, those are our cognitive forces. If we take those non-voluntary things within our body and become voluntary with them and masters of them, then the external representation of them will be equally huge. Just imagine just taking control of your breath, which is usually where a lot of us start at. We start at taking control of our breath. And then how quick your external world starts changing after you take that cognitive sense and become a masterful volunteering user of it. And now as we take those cognitive senses and we make them voluntary one by one, how they'll change our external world. It's huge.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And maybe we can even take the word control,
Yes.
swap it with
Thank
alignment or synthesis, working together in true intimacy.
Like, yeah, I like the word flow, like, in proper harmonic flow. Because it's like that boy can't control those projections of others going at school. That's outside of his control. But it's his voluntary control of how to react to it and how to flow with it. To either stop it or fight it, or just go with it or whatever it is.
Well, it's
Or
outside
choose
of
how to
what
act.
he knows. It's outside of his awareness, which brings us back into the misidentification and the indoctrination of what intimacy actually is. Because if intimacy is made known, then it's very similar to awareness, So it's really a matter of education again, which leads us back to the mental faculty. And why, we're not talking about the concrete conditioned mind. We're talking about the mental faculty that is connected to the cosmic mind, because the intelligent life force is expressed through the mental mind. And this is not meaning that we all become overly just mental, but that is the evolution of the soul.
Right. Mentally intuitive.
Yes.
With it. And we just forget it. Because, we just forget it and learn it again, unless more of our past life comes through.
And the interesting thing with that is, as soon as you understand something, you can let it go. Because this is the evolution of the life force. Why are we doing this whole thing? Why it does this? Because it wants to learn. It wants to know. It wants consciousness, spirit actually, wants to get to know itself. So once we know, we can let it go.
And also, Martina, I think that there's an element of trust, because I'm thinking again about the boy at school and about Sean's interpretation of him, swallowing the projections and burying them in his tummy, and not feeling that he could be intimate in that reality to say, I'm feeling whatever it is I'm feeling, because he wouldn't have felt safe and there wouldn't be trust. But he was able to say it when he got home, because there was a safe place where he could trust that place could hold that experience. And once it was expressed, as you just said there, then it was let go. So there is a connection with trust and being safe to be able to allow the expression of the intimacy. Even though he felt it and buried it, he still needed a safe place to express it.
Exactly. And that brings us back to trust, vulnerability. Vulnerability and trust is linked together. And that, unfortunately, poor parents, brings us back to the way we were brought up. And it's all part of the way it's supposed to be. And lots of us here are parents, and we made exactly the same mistakes as, some of our parents made. But, what did you learn about intimacy from your parents? Let's not even get started.
Oh my God.
Nothing.
I have to say it. I have to say it in German. Strengstens verboten.
Sounds good, Martina.
What
Look it up.
does it mean?
Strictly inhibited. Strictly. None of it. Because what? Intimacy gets immediately sex.
Yes.
Nothing to do with it, right?
Yes.
Intimacy, relationship, marital disputes.
Yeah, there has to be a space to receive it. And I think that's what we got from our parents. Well, I suppose that's what I would be thinking, because I had 5 siblings and a granny who lived with me. And there was a lot of people in the house. There was a lot of stories, going on all the time in the house, of everybody's story. but there wasn't always room for everybody's story, which was their intimacy, to be received. So I think that there has to be a space made to receive it. And in all reality, you know, really, it wasn't actually possible for one person to be able to receive all those spaces and stories and intimacy. So in order for her to manage what she had to do, she had to limit it. She had to say, you know, stop, that's nonsense. Don't be talking like that, or whatever it was, to silence, you know, to silence this stuff that the boy from school said. I felt anxious in my tummy, or I felt nervous in my tummy, you know. And it's having enough time to pay attention to that is what's missing, because we have put the time into other things that we deem to be more important. And actually, there's nothing more important than that. But it's just that we haven't made the space for that sufficiently.
So
Yeah.
you know, let's even add to that, because this is perfect, because, you know, by not allowing ourselves to be intimate, what have we made unknown by not allowing ourselves to be intimate? What have we made unknown about ourselves? How much have we eradicated ourselves, cut pieces off ourselves?
Yes, and how much do we not believe our own story and our own experience as a result of that? And that's a huge loss, because that affects us in the way that we approach our life and the way we make our choices, because we cannot trust our choices, because we don't know, can we trust our story? Can we trust our experience? And that's really kind of the pain, isn't it, of what we live with. You know, we're always trying to overcome that and regain that and rebuild that in ourselves.
Yeah,
But
it is totally, it's totally our like internal truth frequencies that really do shape the world for us. Like it's like on a really basic cognitive level, it takes the truths that we believe in and shapes the world that way. And then we have broken truth. It just shapes the world in that broken truth. So it's yeah, maintaining truth is so important.
So the thought that was coming to me, one moment, Mary.
Yeah, no, go ahead and finish.
The thought that came to me was that people had in the past, for thousands of years, had to struggle for survival. A lot of people were enslaved in their past lives. A lot of people had to work really hard to survive, you know, to exist in the reality that we were all born into in our past lives. So that there was no time for intimacy, or to think about intimacy, or to make connections with the fog or the sound or the breeze or the birds, because we were so involved in having a slave master behind us, or we had to spend so much time during the day, and by the time we got back to our beds, we're so tired, we got no time to think about those things. So the only thing that was left was having sex in order to procreate, and to have that minimal time for intimacy. So, and that's gone on for so many thousands of years. So where we're at right now, having this discussion about what is really intimacy, you know, we have to learn all about it again. And that's a thought that came to me here.
Yeah.
And it's really getting back to basics, right?
Yeah.
Getting back to the breath, right? And starting there with that awareness, getting back to being able to sit with yourself, right? And listen to your thoughts and listen, you know, to the world around you, but also like where am I right now? As we talked about that last week, where are we now? Right. And it feels like there's a whole need for us to just get back to that basic self intimacy, so then we can understand what it's like, you know, outside of ourselves, to bring back that oneness.
Both Tanya and Lana, like it's amazing how much that you know, like acknowledging someone's truth and like how they need it to maintain their own reality. And then especially when it's like our parents or friends or someone who's really close to you growing up, and like they just had to do whatever they had to do to physically maintain their presence in this world as their truth, or they would die or float out or something would happen. And then acknowledging that and forgiving that so they could just maintain their own truth. And then we forgive it. And then like Tanya said, then in comes the room for the new growth and moving ahead and expanding our awareness.
But this entire reality is based on a definition of intimacy, which is limited, like this.
Yeah.
Like this. We had to staple and mutilate ourselves in order to fit into that little shablon, you know.
Yeah.
I love that image, just like a square box that you're inside that's all dark with one little pinhole in it.
And then, you know, actually, you're not really, it's not abnormal that people start feeling so limited and feel so restricted through all this, because it's not who we are. We're taking this infinite being and trying to fit it into something that doesn't work. Until we are allowing ourselves to just come out of those boxes again. But that's none of that I wanted to say. I can't remember what I was going to say. Yeah.
Oh, I know, Martina.
Yeah.
What about your itchy ear related to intimacy?
Yeah.
What about
That's why I started thinking about it. Because
what is it about?
Well, because I never look, literally intimacy issues, you know, itchy ears. And I looked it up in my funky book. And I thought, this is amazing. I love it. I would have never thought of the ear, the connection, intimacy with ear. And then I started exploring it, and that led us to, and of course, you know, I went from whoosh, I went into toroidal fields with this whole thing, you know. But then again, you know, we're not taking away our points of views, our conclusions, our projections that we still carry, because like we said last time we talked about family constellation. Well, what is it? You're continuously tapping into a morphogenetic field, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Continuously, right? So it's like, and the more our awareness is heightened, there is no security of intimacy through awareness. No. It's more like the more aware we become, the more we need to actually remain in awareness. What is made known? Okay, it's an acknowledgement thing. We need to more acknowledge. And acknowledge is still a good word because it has no polarization to it. It's just like, okay, it is that. That's that. You know, make it known. Whenever you feel like there's something intimate, trusting issued, okay, make it known. Make it known. What am I not making known? What am I not acknowledging that if I would acknowledge it, would, you know, change my life exponentially right now? So much is not being acknowledged. We are creators continuously, incessantly. We create. And, you know, especially when we go through those phases where, you know, the wave's down and we're in that little groove waiting, you know, where all the tadpoles are, and it's like fucking boring. I want to take it. But this is where we start creating. Once we're up on the wave, the creation is already finished. That's already the actualization of what we have created, right? It's a bit like having a fever. Fever is already the body trying to get rid of whatever is inflamed in the body. Oh, there's something wrong. No, it's okay. I've already got temperature. That's great. The body's doing what it has to do. So we're always a tadpole too late back, you know, just acknowledge what is. And then, you know, that kind of thing. That's part of that intimacy. But I think as we still have to work on our intimacy issues, and very much intimacy issues, very much down to earth. between each other, between like, okay, why have I got an issue with worms, that kind of thing. Well, there are fears, and fears, as we all know, are really, there is no such thing as fear. It's what Access calls a distractor implant. Yeah.
False evidence appearing real.
That fear in particular, So as long as we have fears, and I'm certainly one who still has fears, can we really truly be intimate? And if we're not being able to be truly intimate, can we really, really create from a level of the source?
I'm thinking about like our truth of our reality and what we choose to hold on to, and how everything we hold on to is kind of like our building blocks of what we're creating. And sometimes we don't want to use new blocks, and sometimes it's not even a good idea to get rid of everything, because sometimes what you built is like really helpful when you come to it the next day and you want to pick up where you left off to do more creations. In my head, I had a big box of Lego growing up, a big tote full of Lego. And then and these are my building blocks, right? And then every once in a while, like other things would get in it. It's like, you don't want connects in with your Lego. You don't want maybe one or two dinky cars with the Lego, but no more than that. And like, you don't want Duplo in your Lego creation box. Those things got to stay separate if you want to do proper creations. But just looking at your building blocks, like if you want to get rid of it all, because sometimes it's dangerous to get rid of it all. Or
well,
you want to.
That's an interesting point of view. What is that all about? Tell us more about that. What is dangerous about getting rid of everything?
Well, it's kind of like your framework from one day to the next day. It's kind of like your ego, your ID that you've built, and how you want to project yourself in the world.
Okay,
so if you want to go to work the next day, and if you plan on going to work the next day, if you ditch that all that you've made, you'll probably get fired, or you lose your clients, or some reactionary effect. And it's not to say that we can't do all these things simultaneously while doing other things in different ethereal worlds, because we're that multi-dimensional. But if you want to maintain the molds and the form that we've created in this world, we can't just smash the whole building down.
So I'm gonna put you in the spot here, yeah?
Yeah.
Let's just play with the Legos, yeah?
Yeah.
Let's take them all your building blocks, all your Legos, all your little, cars and whatever, and destroy them. Let them go. Send them away. It's okay. Thank them. Grateful because you've played with them. Just let it go. How do you perceive that?
It can be nice because it can make way for completely brand new creations. But like in my mind, I got rid of the box of Legos, but I didn't get rid of the pool table, the back room, and the house. We
only got rid of the Legos. No, that's fine. We come to the pool table right now. Okay, let's get rid of the pool table then too.
For some reason, we would play underneath the pool table.
Yeah. Okay, wait. I have something for you, Sean. Here's a different way I see it. When you said the Legos and the Duplos are in there and the Connects are in there, I have one of those boxes with all that in there, right? Playmobil, all that. I don't see it as getting rid of anything in that box. I see it as a creation of what can we do. Even though the Duplo doesn't fit with the Lego, we can go grab something like duct tape and make it fit and make it together. So yeah, go ahead.
With that, Amy, what about the chip and cookie crumbs that get in there?
Oh yeah, that could be your snow. That could be your snow that you can create.
the cat hair, the dog hair, all the pens and the pen caps.
Yes, all that. Oh my God, how fun is that to look through? They are so fun to look through.
And that's the beauty of that box, that mystery box, because you never know exactly what you're going to pull out.
No, but you can be creative. with
I
it.
want to add to the Lego bit here. So now we've got a box of Legos here too. And I was told, Mommy, you can get rid of everything, but you cannot get rid of the box of Legos. And I remember many times I try to separate the pieces of helping to do that, right? To put, okay, so this set of Legos goes with, you know, whatever that is. And then everything got mixed up again. And it became so impossible to separate the pieces, you know. So now everything is inside one box. And of course, I'm told I cannot get rid of the Legos. Don't ever get rid of the Legos.
Well, there you go, Lana. It's all, they don't want to be separate. It's all one.
Intimacy.
Well, it's funny with people's particulates with it. Because I had a cousin who would go to the length of sorting things by the color.
Mhm.
And I was like, man, that's crazy. But literally, like when we dumped, like it's cool to.
Sean, we lost you there. Can you hear him, or is it just me?
No,
I can,
he
no.
froze. So there was
froze.
one time when I was helping to separate it by colors and by size and by shapes, and it got so impossible because there was so much Legos involved that I said I gave up. We're just gonna put everything back together in one, and it became an intimate box of Lego parts and pieces.
You know, now that you mentioned that, I was remember one of the Carlos Castañeda from Don Juan, that he said our what we call our ego and my consciousness is just like a warehouse where everybody put everything they believe that was their truth in our warehouse, and now we're just walking around with a full warehouse with knowing and beliefs that are not ours, that we just carry on information that other people put there for us. And then Sra. Martina, you said just let it go, everything. It would be like a blank, empty the whole warehouse and start. And then where we start? It's like put us outside everything that is not me, because everything I received was not me. Then I had to start from 0 point to reveal what I am.
So, Herminia, and that's what Sean said as well before he got broken off here. This is the interesting question. Do you ever start from 0 if you let go everything? If considering the intimacy discussion that we're having today, is there such a thing, starting ever from 0?
No, it's not. From my point of view, no.
No, it's not.
I don't think it's possible to do that.
Yeah.
Not in our present reality.
Building blocks, right? Building blocks.
You can probably get rid of some things and then start from that point, but it will be impossible to get rid of everything.
You see, this is the familiarity and the safety net that we build around us from a place of fear, from a place of misguidance, that if we don't have those blocks anymore, our memories from our childhood will go. It's a familiarity. It's one of those connection points that actually keeps us from creating something new. Something.
Yeah.
I mean, who created Lego? Good for him. He made a shitload of money. But if we never had Lego, we could create something different, right? Not just play with those blocks somebody else created.
It's also a grounding for coming back to, like, if you're feeling ungrounded, you can actually even look at the box of Legos and remember the fun times you had with your Legos, and it grounds you back.
Okay, Lana, but then I have to ask you the question, would a being without intimate issues need grounding?
Would a being without intimate, repeat your question?
Would a being without intimate issues need grounding?
Well, no, because you're already in the all, you see?
No.
You're all.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
You're connected to the source.
That's the power of intimacy.
You don't feel anything missing at all.
So is grounding an involuntary? Is it involuntary?
Grounding, I think, once you get to a certain level of understanding, grounding is just another limitation. You don't really need it. I mean, it's a distraction, really, because, you know, but it's part of what we need to do in order to create our personality, our I am, part of the I am journey, part of the self-mastery, the sovereignty. But this is the interesting thing. Once we get beyond the self-mastery journey, we don't have to do any of that anymore. It's a training wheel. These are all, the entire self-mastery journey is a training wheel journey. But you've got to think of from where you are talking. Yeah, I'm talking retrospective. If you've done it, if you haven't even started the self-healing, self-mastery, sovereignty journey, then obviously don't even think of letting it go, because you have to go and do it and apply yourself and take responsibility. But once you've done that, it's the same with the soul journey. Once you've integrated your soul, yeah, once you are, and I'm not talking, any one of us is at that level of complete soul emergence, what you do, the soul becomes the limitation. Yeah, because it is self-separation to a certain extent, depending how you look at it. And the soul journey is eventually going back to the monad, to the God source, once it's learned to learn. So these are just the nice things, the made known. And once you know it, oh, okay, cool, great. Now I can really enjoy where I am, because now I understand where eventually I will end up. And I don't have to be there right now, because actually, you know what? Yes, I know this is going to happen, but now I'm going to make the most of this now. Because once I'm back in the monad, I can't have a donut, a Krispy Kreme one, or, you know, sex or whatever you want to have. And this is the lovely thing, for me anyway. I always want to know what's out there so I can really, really enjoy what's here.
So now you're asking about the grounding, Amy.
Yeah.
Do we need to ground here? So sometimes I feel that if you don't come back to something familiar to bring you back into our reality here, you could probably feel like you're floating off and you're not connected to anything. There's no intimacy back into the earth's reality. And we ground ourselves back to something familiar, you know, that we're familiar with.
Yeah. Well, once we've made known the intimacy of grounding and everything, then we know every time we eat, every time we drink, every time we touch something, every time we stroke our cat or hug our children or our husband or whoever, that's grounding.
Yeah.
And that's being in the present moment. So it's just another name for grounding afterwards. It means joyful living.
Yeah.
So can we say intimacy is grounding, right?
Yeah. If you want.
Yeah.
For example, when I went out
much
walking,
more than that, but it includes it.
Yeah. For example, when I went walking, I went grounding myself to the fog, right? I became intimate with the fog, with the sound that I was hearing, the breeze and everything. That's grounding myself into the reality, being in the moment.
That's why I would liken it to awareness, because for me, awareness includes everything.
Yeah.
And you know, hopefully judges nothing, because that's where the inclusivity of everything is there. Awareness. It's expandable. I haven't found another word. I used to use consciousness for that, but that's getting too small for me now, because that's only within space-time continuum. So if I have awareness, I can use it outside of space-time continuum, you know. So it's bigger for me.
Yeah. For everybody, they use a different word that they can ground into to make make things known to them, you know, to feel bigger or come back into smallness.
I look, there are different kinds of people out there, you know. Think of that when I restrict myself, when I try to fit into something, I get really irritated. I don't find that familiar. I don't find it comforting. For me, I can't breathe almost. Then what I do is I just expand out. So let's say, for instance, you know, me and getting lost all the time, you know, I get lost and, oh my God, I get lost. And all I need to do is expand myself out. And as soon as I expand myself out, up to the solar system, I'm like, okay, cool, it's okay. Yeah. But
Mm.
so I don't, familiarity is not necessarily something that works for me. I'd rather expand myself out. I find more comfort in expanding myself out than expanding myself in, honing in. So I need to work more on the honing in, to acknowledge things, because I live more, like Mary always says, you know, in that more infinite, expanded space. I'm much more productive out there. But having said that, this is living on earth, is you need to bring it in. You need to ground it down. Yes.
You don't want to float away, Martina.
Yeah, and you know, as you said, you know, grounding it in, this is being intimate with what is here with me, being intimate with the pen, by acknowledging the pen, by holding it, by feeling it, by using my senses and all of that. Now, somebody? No, I've had this weird example when I thought about intimacy, and I want to try it out on you guys. For some reason, I had to think of, who saw the movie The Revenant? The DiCaprio being
Yeah. Yep.
So there was this one scene where it was a bear, I think, where he killed the bear, or the bear got killed somehow. And in order for him to survive, he had to get split naked and put himself into the bear, into the warmth, the intestines and everything, to survive the night, because apparently, you know, depending on the size of the animal or something, it keeps the warmth and everything going, you know, for quite a few hours. Now, just get a picture up of that, and consider yourself in a situation where, you know, in order to survive, you need to crawl into that animal's body that just died and is still warm, giving up that warmth and everything in order for you to survive. What does that bring up for you?
Wow.
It brings up, if I'm in the situation, then I have to do what is best for me in the moment. Now, being here in my warm, comfy home is a different thought that I'm having. But if I'm put in that moment, then I will do what is right for me in that moment. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
I don't know how I react. See?
Yeah. I think I think what you said was, what do you feel? What is your reaction to going into the bear? Okay. I would think I would have no reaction. It would just be, I need to survive the night. And I need to go in that bear. It doesn't matter how gross it is. It doesn't matter the smell. It doesn't matter anything. I just want, to survive the night. I need to do this. And I probably wouldn't even hesitate.
No, because it's a survival moment. And just like a consequence of something that happened is like a benefit for another creature in creation.
Yeah.
It was like not looking like a bad or good. It's just like, a consequence, something that give the life away, then it's supporting me to keep my life away.
Because I think he made a coat out of the bears
Afterwards.
Yeah.
So, so would you say there is a certain level of intimacy having to do that?
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, it's a sharing. We are intimate. We are sharing each other at that moment. Yeah.
Yeah. The animal consequence of losing the life helping me to preserve my life.
Yeah. Yeah, Herminia.
So there's a level of true receiving on your side.
Oh my God, yes. I could feel that.
Yeah.
Because watching that movie, I was cold the whole time. I couldn't wait for him to get in there and get warm. you know, by the warmth of the bear.
Now there is a level, there is such a level of intimacy in that, if you think about it, because you are truly receiving from something that is dead.
Yeah.
That is still giving that energy off to you for you to survive.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh,
What would you do, Martina?
Yeah, I do the same, just like you guys. I would
Survival.
smell and this and that, you know, but I would do that too.
In the survival, your brain just like stop. You don't have, you don't how do you say that? You didn't prejudge anything. You just accept what's in the moment because you are just in the survival mode.
Yeah.
Your mind is not taking what is right, what is wrong, it's good or bad. It's just like in the swing of survival. Yeah, right.
that's another good topic because the whole movie was about that, survival.
So you know, let's spin this a little bit further as you guys are talking, because I didn't really know why I was going to bring it up. It just was in the back. You got to talk carcass. You got to talk about this carcass thing. Okay. So there isn't a level of intuition that I'm getting from you guys. There is no particular thinking as such. There is the survival. You know that that's got to be done. It's got to be done. There is right or wrong. There is not even looking at pros or cons or anything, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Now, maybe what I want to say with this is, you know, in order for us to survive is, you know, next level of survival is to thrive. In order for us as a species to thrive, what if we have to get to that level of intimacy?
And don't bring me to live in the moment. Because I'm not thinking about what happened tomorrow. I think about what happened right now. And I have to preserve my life.
And it's to do whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Remain intimate.
In
Order
the
to survive and thrive as a species, as a contribution.
That's the self-mastery road. Self-mastery, self-healing,
Back to that,
yeah.
Think
about it. We already done all that. We survived. We're here. We're talking about it. We did it 4 times over. We're on the fifth go around. We had to survive somehow in order to make it here.
So this is why I threw in the little word thrival. Yes, we've covered the survival, but now we're getting to the next level.
Thrive, yes.
Thrival.
That's our next
There
step.
is another level of intimacy that is required.
And I think the big challenge for us, I guess for me, myself, I can talk for me, is the now. Every time my mind just freaking go out tomorrow, what's going to happen and what I'm going to do in the evening, just to bring that awareness to the moment right now. Because right now is when I have to survive, going to this real moment or just navigate this moment.
And you know, it's not how we're going to do that. No, it's just take that energy of that being in that carcass, knowing that you got to do whatever it takes. And I'll take that commitment to yourself, take it to the next level of thrival, the next level of intimacy. Show me, universe, what is that level? What does it look like? Because I don't know, we don't know. That's all beyond the edge of unknowingness or knowing, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes we need to let go of the Lego blocks, known them. And the knowingness becomes a limitation.
Yeah.
So this is really taking it to the next level of intimacy. And then once you can just perceive the energy and it makes you smile, you don't have to do anything with it. Don't do anything with it. You'd kill it. Don't do anything with it. But then allow the universe to just show you that energy, and all you do is you follow that energy. You follow the energy. You act on the energy that comes towards you, through you. And then, of course, with all the levels of intimacy that you are familiar with, you can, shapeshift like we did last time. You can play on that level of beyond the edge of unknowingness, that level of intimacy, and then you just come back and you play with your dog or your cat, play with and practice there. So it's like you switch up and down because this is who we are, right?
Yeah.
Changing frequencies. And then we're going to start appreciating once you have an interaction with whoever, with an animal or with a human being, or with an elemental, and you have the same energy that you have from that beyondness.
Yeah.
So
Wow,
there's
that's great. That's great.
no linearity in that.
Yeah. That's very good, especially for myself, because I have a feeling unsatisfied myself, happy about my life. I said to be living better life. I shouldn't be like some situation, and I was looking for the point. What direction I'm going to take in this moment, and not worry about tomorrow, because I'm in the point I have to like go higher to where I am right now, and fine.
This is the thing. Next time you go into, I should do this or worry about this and fear, back in the carcass.
Yeah.
Carcass.
Yeah.
Okay. There you can breathe right in the moment. I did whatever it takes. Calm the fuck down.
Yeah. Yeah.
And say the question again, what is next? Universe, show me.
Oh
Yeah.
man, I could so feel being in that carcass where there's I can. It's like there's no smell. There's no like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm not cold. I'm not hungry. I'm not.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because you are in the what they call the eternal now.
The
Yes,
eternal now. Thank you,
that's-
Marina.
And enjoy it as long as you can, because that's a training wheel too.
Yeah.
And it will smell. It will smell. It will smell. Let's call it what it is. It will stink.
Wow. Do we dream with the bear that night? Like when we're in the bear? Imagine the dreaming world. Being inside. Imagine.
Because you are connecting to the world of
Wow.
yeah.
Oh my God. I have one one little bird in my bed. I sleep next to me. That's funny.
Yeah. Wow.
Beautiful.
Thank you for that.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
No, you're welcome. It's come in from the very beginning. As soon as I thought intimacy, I'm thinking, are you joking? What's this carcass thing? I can't tell them about it. Now I get it. It's really all about do whatever it takes. The next level is coming. Next level.
Yeah.
Do whatever it will. That's why I said to you, I mean, it will stink. Yeah.
Yeah, it will stink.
And we can't think that away, but that's okay too, because we can just allow it.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're saying do whatever it takes, but we must bring in that we do whatever it takes, but don't step on the journeys of others at the same time. Don't step on other people.
Yeah.
Do it with great respect.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. And even if you would have to kill that bear in order to survive and do whatever that, you will have to have a contract with that bear. You would have to have that kind of thing. Absolutely. It's the same thing as us eating animals or eating plants or, but then again, that's intimacy again. I mean, who thinks of intimacy talking to your salad before you eat it or before you even buy it or cut it or, or marinate it, that kind of thing. Now, again, present.
Or you're going to the supermarket and you're seeing all the oranges or the other fruits and you're being intimate with that,
It's funny how it chooses you too when you're there at the supermarket. The meat that you choose, the meat, the vegetables, it's like they choose you. Take me home.
That's one of the things that people are losing, because when you go to the supermarket, you see all these shoppers now that the store would hire, right, to shop for other people.
Yes.
And they don't have that intimacy anymore with the items that they're purchasing because somebody else is doing it for them. They're going to be losing that intimacy.
Unless they have a contract with the person that's picking it out for them. What if they're not connecting, but talking and saying, well, pick that. We could do that.
But that's a middleman there. You see, the person who's doing the shopping for you is the middleman. and you're not being intimate really with the fruit. that
Okay,
you
well, we
purchase or the
gotta
vegetable.
we gotta look at. Remember, this is again going into separation. We go straight to the source, and whatever it takes. If that's what it is, we don't have a point of view about this. You can still have intimacy with whatever you are eating or buying, having it with somebody else.
Yeah.
But this is the thing, this whole awakening business, this whole spiritual evolution is only perception, the way you perceive things, just like
In
dimension
our head.
perceptions. Yeah.
Mhm.
And not just in the head, obviously, but everywhere, emotional body,
Yeah.
mental body, and everything, and the synthesis of all of it. But it's basically a clearing, a deprogramming, and deconditioning ourselves, de-indoctrination. And then, as we said earlier on, everything is there. We came in with everything. We really have to just take the shit away so that the us, the source, or the essence is coming through.
Yeah. If remove the cover up that we have been putting there, covering who we really are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yes, I mean, the clearing, that's really, I mean, I think there was a post the other day, which I posted, all you need to do is clear your shit, and then you are the love, right?
Right.
But then again, it's also boring just to clear all the time. So sometimes you go into exploration, you go into the mental side, you find out a bit more, make it known. And then, you got to, okay, calm the brain and just relax a little bit and go into clearing again. You got to mix it up, It's, you don't want to eat the same schnitzel every day. You want to, have some, have that,
No.
And that's the lovely bit about it.
I love mixing it up.
Love mixing it up, right?
I love it. Yeah, I do love it.
Fusion, and there's a time for everything, and this is why, if something doesn't happen right, and you're trying to force it, well, don't. There is something about ease. Ease doesn't mean easy. We've always said that. You still have to do the work and do whatever it takes, but there's no point to try to force something that you have concluded that is required for you to move on into other levels of intimacy.
Yeah.
Because no, maybe it's not the time.
Yeah,
This
it's
is
like
why we're having this conversation with everything and everyone.
it's
Because
like that is simple, however not easy, right? It's simple, however it's not.
well, and sometimes it's not even simple. Sometimes it's difficult. But you know what? When you are committed from an aligned place, heart, gut, soul, all your bodies, then you just keep going anyway. You just know, like the survival thing. Yeah. Just gotta do it. You gotta do it. You don't. It's an intuitive impulse rather than a mental, contemplation.
Yeah.
Yeah, or self-gratifying.
Yeah.
It's
good for that you mentioned that, Martina, because I was feeling the other day like, last week I mentioned I was like in this point, what the point to keep going? And the challenge is that it's never ends. And you say
never ends. And it always gets bigger. It gets bigger. Not smaller, gets bigger if you allow it.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well done, girls.
Thank you.
We had a long session today. So are we done?
Yeah.
Are we all right?
Yes,
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
hungry.
good.
I had to
I
go
am-
eat some lunch.
Thank you so much. I really, really
Thank
enjoyed
you.
that. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
playing.
Bye-bye.
And the recording is gonna see you next week, yeah?
Thank
Okay.
you.
Bye.
To see
Yeah.
everybody,
Yeah.
how everybody has grown and evolved in this group. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.